Hi, my name is Russell Lucas. I am a theatre maker and I interview other theatre makers. So, in this interview, I talked to Hannah about the graduation process, the day where you must show us what you've got, the showcase. I've been on the other side of showcases in terms of being in the audience quite often, and I wanted to talk to Hannah about what it's like to live through that experience. How does she prepare? How does she choose the material? How was the whole experience really? Was it beneficial? Did it meet her expectations? So do enjoy the interview and click to subscribe. Hi Hannah, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us on the channel today.
No
Um,
problem.
you're going to talk to us about graduation
Yes.
specifically, which I'll get into in a moment. Um, I'm trying to get everybody to define themselves at the beginning of an interview
hmm
because I think these days we're becoming very fluid in our labels. I think a lot of people are embracing the word theatre maker, and I
Yeah.
said this to an actor who you know, Theo, last
hmm
week, and I said that theatre maker feels better for me now, although sometimes I appreciate I have to call myself a director because of an infrastructure I might be particularly working in.
Yeah.
So who are you now? You know, has it shifted over the years? How do you define yourself now?
Um, I would definitely still say I am an actor. Um, I've never, or actor, artist, storyteller. Um, I would go for. I've never really dabbled or considered directing or producing. I've only ever done acting, really. So I'd say that is my main definition as an actor, artist, storyteller is what I would. Storyteller, I like actually.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there are so many stories out there to tell, and I like the idea of them flowing through us as actors and theatre makers. So I quite like storyteller. I'll go with. Um, but mainly acting. I'd be interested in doing some writing, but I've not taken that leap yet.
So what type of work have you done? We worked together in 2015 on an
Yeah.
play. What what's what's happened in the past 5 years? I mean, obviously we've crossed paths maybe once or twice, but
hmm
what are you gravitating towards? What have you gravitated towards in the past 5 years, and what do you want to kind of, start to seek out in the future?
Yeah. It's mainly theatre that I do. You actually gave me my first theatre job out of drama school. Um, well, actually, no, it was during drama school. Still, I hadn't finished the year. But yeah, that was you. You gave me my first job. Um, yeah, mainly theatre that I do. Over the past 5 years, it has mostly been that. I have last year, I did a little bit more TV work. So I've done bits and bobs on screen, but mostly it's been theatre, Shakespeare, some fringe, contemporary fringe projects, and the screen work only really kicked off last year, um, but mostly theatre. Earlier this year, unfortunately, it was cut short because of coronavirus. But I was doing a US tour um, of Michael Gene Sullivan's 1984 and Homer's The Odyssey. So that's the most recent projects that I've been involved in.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'd really like to look to do some more screen work, but I've always been interested in doing more screen work anyway. There's always that kind of hovering dream of Hollywood. um, but I think actually that's diminishing slightly for me, and I'd like to focus more on our industry here,
Mm.
on the British TV and film industry. But I'd love to do some more of that.
Yeah, I think that there always comes that time, doesn't there, in a performer's career of, you go through your training and then you graduate and then you want theatre work, and then sometimes
Yeah.
you end up doing more film or more TV or whatever, and then I think it's then the true theatre spirit ends up going, actually, I still don't want to let go of my theatre work.
Mm,
Obviously, with TV and with film comes um, some, I think it's fair to say, a larger income.
Yeah.
You get into that pool, but also I think I said this to an actor years ago. I said, who'd got a television gig, and I said, try and keep your theatre work, because you really,
Yeah.
and that will be something that's always there, and it will keep you grounded in a very different way.
Yeah.
It's nice that you have
Yeah.
that. And that's good that you spoke about your first job, because I realized after I said to you, come and talk to us about graduation, actually I'd also seen your graduation. Did the experience of, leading up to graduation, that final showcase,
Mm-hmm.
was it what you expected? Because when I'm invited to showcases, I find them to be incredibly quick.
Yeah.
Almost cattle calls.
Yeah.
Would you say, and you don't have to mention where you trained or anything like that, but would you say the process leading up to it served it correctly, and then so was the experience a positive one, etc.?
Yes, I would say that I can't speak for obviously everyone, but my specific experience was quite positive. I think I was quite lucky. Yeah, I had a really positive experience with our showcase actually. I had a lot of interest afterwards and got an agent through the showcase who I'm still with now. So that's been a long-standing relationship that came out of that. So that was quite a positive experience for me, and I think it did serve. I think, well, we were kind of told what to expect. Our expectations of the whole situation was managed very, very well by our head of course. So, I mean, for starters, at the very beginning of the course, we were told, if you're going to put all of your eggs in your showcase basket, you're doing it wrong. You need to spend the entire year absorbing all of this information and becoming essentially a theatre maker, because not everyone is going to come out of the showcase smelling of roses, as it were. It's not always going to work out for everyone. So you need to kind of get that mindset out, get rid of that. So my head, of course, did a really good job of grounding us and just talking us through the reality of what that situation would be. It did look like what I thought the showcase was going to look like. I was kind of expecting it to be a very quick run through of 2-minute scenes. You don't get much time on stage. It is just sort of like a carousel. And then at the end, you go and speak to your industry professionals, and then you're done, and then you wait and see what happens. That's kind of what I had in my head anyway. So it did deliver on that. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, it definitely delivered on that. But our expectations were managed of it. So we were told that because we're an MA course, we're not going to have as much attendance as, say, a BA course, because it's 1-year training versus a 3-year training. So people are less likely to take the risk on that. Because we're a bigger class size, we're going to have less time on stage. It is going to be very quick, so you have to make those 2 minutes count. And what else were we told? Oh, we were even given a networking class almost. We had a rehearsal of that awful part, that awful bit at the end of a showcase where you have to go and mingle with the industry professionals. So we were prepared for that whole experience, really. And I think that was really, really important, because I think it's very easy to go into that, to put a showcase on a pedestal, and you'll romanticize the idea of, okay, I've done my training, I have my showcase, I'll get my agent, I'll meet loads of creatives, loads of industry professionals, and then that's my career, off, ready. It's just success and fame from that point. Do you know what I mean? But we were kind of, our expectations were managed of that. It was told, that's not always going to be the case. And rather than after showcase waiting for that phone to ring, if it doesn't, if you don't get the interest, or you don't get to meet with as many people, use the list that comes out because they release the list of all the attendees, and just get involved in work as anything that you can after you graduate, after the showcase. Just get involved in anything, get a show reel going, get, you know, and just invite people to it. Use the list and use the fact that they might have seen you in the showcase, and just get them invited to your whatever you can throw up, so that they can see you in situ, because that's, well, it's better exposure for you, isn't it, than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I guess there's almost like an element of luck as well included in that day, which cannot be promised or provided for or guaranteed, isn't it? And that's the thing that will probably never be able to be managed or defined or offered up. So there's a game of luck and etc. Did you find it a fulfilling process artistically?
Do you know what? The way that we chose our scenes was quite an interesting way of doing it. So I found that process quite artistically fulfilling. Yes, because, you know, sometimes not, you know, actors can't tell their particular type or what characters. If you're reading a scene or you're reading a play, you're not quite sure, particularly as a student, you know, still quite fresh, you don't really know what might suit you, what works for you, what doesn't. So the way that we did it was everybody brought in a handful of scenes. I don't know if they do this everywhere, actually. They might, or it might just have been us. But everyone brings in a selection of scenes, and over a few weeks, you select people in your class to perform those scenes. So you don't bring in scenes for yourself. You might say, Josh and Carrie for this scene, and then they get up and they perform the scene cold, just sight read it, and try and do the best they can. And you can instantly tell if that scene has legs or not. You can just see a spark or a potential or something, and then that might work for them, or it might go horribly, and you see, actually, that is not your type. This is not the type of character that works well for you in this situation. Maybe, I don't know, Maddie and Becky would try better in this scene, and then, you know, that they work it out, and then it's fantastic for them. So that process was really fulfilling, actually, just seeing that process play out in front of you. That was really interesting. Well, I guess it's like auditioning. You have a very short time to prepare, and you have a very short time to actually show a director something, or the casting director something, and it kind of prepares you for that. Artistically choosing, you know, confidently and boldly some interesting choices and just throwing them out in 2 minutes. It kind of really prepares you for that. So that's quite fulfilling, actually. And the amount of pressure that you're under during your showcase, that kind of trains you. It kind of trains you up for that feeling of auditioning. Yeah. I definitely find that every time I have to do an audition, I feel just an immense amount of anxiety.
Yeah. It sounds like
yeah.
You said your expectations were managed.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like what you're saying is you kind of just took that and went with it. You're like, okay, cool. And off I go. But then. Yeah, so I guess there's a lot to learn in that, and the fact that, right, this is the thing, this is the way it works. I'm just gonna embrace it. I'm just going to do it, because I've spoken to graduates as well. I've gone the other end, and they're going, "Oh my God, how can I do this? I can't do this. This is terrible. It was chaos because I can't prove it in 2 minutes. How can I do this? How can I do this?" And whereas you flipped it and actually embraced the way, and it sounds like your drama school is very good and proactive.
Yeah, I guess it's that thing of, do you accept something for the way it is, embrace it and run with it and try and do the best you can with it, or do you try and change it for the better? If it's kind of a broken system, do you change it for the better? I'm not sure which is the better option. But I definitely felt in that moment, I just go with it. I just felt take it and run with it and try and do the best that we can. Funnily enough, the scene that we did, we weren't necessarily that happy with, me and my partner. I remember we had a conversation with our tutor, like, are you sure this is the scene that we're going to do our 2 minute, our 2 minutes, this, you see us shining in this is what you think that is? And she's like, yeah, that's what you're doing. And we were like, okay, cool. So we just made the most, just tried to make the most of what we were given and what we had, and just trusted that somebody else saw what we couldn't in the piece and in ourselves, really. And just had to run with that, because also the time frame that we put it together is very short. You don't have that much time, so you need to just go with it.
Just from my point of view, when I've watched graduation or showcases, they can be too quick, like I said before, and I there've definitely been times where I have felt cheated as an audience member or as a director, with my director's hat on, because I was like, I need to see more. They do feel like carousels. And like you say, you have been provided for, you had your expectations met, etc., etc. But there was part of me going, yeah, that's okay, but I would prefer to see 5 minutes of you and your partner. So I was wondering, do you think there's any sort of solution to that? Because obviously you've been inside the system. I appreciate it's probably about numbers, I guess. I don't know.
I think so. I think it's that idea of industry people are very busy and they don't have time. They don't have that much time to invest in you personally or as an artist in that moment. There's 20 odd drama schools that they've got to get round with multiple course showcases. They just need to, get through them as quickly as possible. So I guess there is that element of it. I wonder if just the final year, instead of leading up to this sort of final product, whether there could just be a string of longer scene sharings throughout the year at West End theatres that you just, maybe industry professionals can dot around to throughout the year, kind of space it out a little bit more, rather than have one season of just getting around to all of the drama schools and trying to see as many students as they can in a really short space of time. If they just allow for a little bit more time to see everyone. But I mean, that would be more fulfilling as a student. Definitely, you'd get more time to work on something, and you feel, you can actually relax into the scene and have fun with it, feel a little bit more comfortable. And if you knew that was kind of going on for a long period of time, you have multiple options. You can show more of a range, and
I think from my point of view that I am just thinking about that, I would like more. The only way to solve it, like you said, because everybody's time is of the essence, is this is me thinking very creatively now, is actually to have a graduation festival, a showcase festival.
Yes.
All of the schools come together on one day. And so it's like going around Edinburgh, do you know what I mean? So you go and watch a show from 9 till 10, you have a 45-minute break, and you go and watch another one. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to do that whole day. That's just suddenly coming to my head. Because then you would know that day is graduation festival day or showcase festival day. And off you go, and the schools have worked together, and you get delivered a program from ArtsEd, East 15, etc., all together on one day. And they take over the West End, or I don't know.
No, that would be fantastic. That would be wonderful, because do you know what that does as well, is that pools the agent contacts and the creative contacts, you know, and you lose that element of, oh, people aren't going to want to come to see this course because it's an MA course, or people aren't going to want to see this course because it's, you know, whatever. That way, all of the contacts are in one pool. All the agents are invited. The entire agencies, loads of directors, lots of creatives, writers. Everyone's invited, and they can just. I love the idea of it being like an Edinburgh Fringe. That'd be fantastic, and you'd feel as an artist, you'd feel more satisfied that you're being seen, and that you have more of a fair chance. Actually, that would, I think that would make it more fair, or it would feel more fair.
Let's start it. We thought of it here.
Yeah. Write it down.
It's the same as, like, say, Edinburgh, and the fact that when a booker from a venue will go to Edinburgh to watch shows, they won't just police their choices. They won't necessarily go to the big venues. They go to the smaller venues because they know what choice is. Actually, there are some, you know, absolute jewels in all sorts of shapes and sizes of venues. But cool. So I'm going to ask you about your just on the last question. How did you choose your material? What was it? And then why did you have conflict about it? And then why did it work out in the end? In your eyes, did it work out?
It did. I guess it did work out because I did get some interest afterwards, and managed to sign with someone. So I guess it did work out. But so I cannot. Do you know what? I cannot remember for the life of me. I don't know whether I've just blocked it out. But I cannot remember for the life of me the name of the piece that we did, and I can't remember who chose it for us. But me and my partner, we were getting to the end of the barrel, almost the bottom of the barrel, with the options. And people were getting paired off, and we'd worked quite well together as it is. So we were kind of interested in working together anyway. But as you know, people were pairing up. Pieces were getting chosen, the selection was getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, until it almost felt like our piece was just kind of, look, these are the options that we have, this will work for you, rather than that's fantastic, or we see a connection, we see a spark, yes, go for that. So I feel like we were just kind of handed a piece that when we read it, we're like, okay, this is interesting. Yeah. Should we read the play? I remember we read the play in a couple of nights, and then we came back together for a rehearsal, and we're like, what is this about? And it was just the weirdest story. It was like my partner played a video censor. If from what I can remember correctly, it's like a video censor who like edits sexy bits out of tapes. And I can't even remember who my character was supposed to be, but she comes in and seduces this man who's quite repressed. Comes in and seduces this man, and then there's a weird, I can't believe, because there's a weird bit where she, I think, defecates on the floor later on, not in the scene that we did for Showcase, but like
unforgettable
unforgettable scene. But there's that element of it at some point during the play. So we were reading this play like, I'm just not sure that this is right for us. It's a bit, we didn't understand mainly what we were doing, and what the scenes were about, what the play was about. We just didn't get it. So we went back to our tutor and, you know, asked, is this for us? You know, is this really, we don't understand it really, and we're just not sure that this is going to work. And at the time, you know, we were running out of time, and I think it was just a case of, look, this is what you're going to do. You just need to make it work, and you need to make some magic happen. Because this is the scene that we're gonna get.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you've just got to take something and make it work. You're not always going to get you're not always going to get what you want, and you've just got to trust me, and this is what's going to happen. So that's kind of what we had to run with, and we did get some really great feedback from it. So somebody, they must have seen something in it that we didn't, and it was actually great, and it was possibly just that we didn't understand at the time.
We have time for one last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to give a student a piece of advice, what's the one piece of advice that you would impart for their graduation?
Mine would be manage your expectations of that day. Honestly, it's not the most fun of an event. As a day, the stress levels are high. You do feel like everything is riding on that one day, and it's just to sort of understand that it isn't, and showcasing that graduation aspect of it is not everything. People go on to do great, amazing, fantastic creative things after showcase, if nothing comes of it. So don't put all your eggs in that basket, and just manage your expectations of what can happen. It's not the be all and end all, and utilize that list. If you get a list of all the attendees, utilize that list afterwards, because that's a free list of contacts that you have there. So yeah, manage your expectations of the day, because it is stressful. It is anxiety inducing, and just try and have fun with it, and utilize the list. Yeah.
That's great. It's been really, really, really wonderful to hear a positive spin on what I thought was quite a quick process. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Okay.
No problem.
Bye, Hannah.
Bye bye. Take care.